שלום לכולם, אנחנו נמצאים בתל אביב עם אגדת הגיטרה הווירטואוז, מר פול גילברט שנמצא כאן לידי, ואני מאוד נרגש באמת לשתף אתכם, הצופים והגולשים, שאנחנו הולכים ללמוד כמה טריקים של הגיטריסט האדיר והמוכשר הזה, שהגיע להופעה ולכיתת אומן בתל אביב. אני מקווה שנוכל ללמוד משהו, כי זה באמת קשה לעמוד בקצב. Hello, Mr. Gilbert.
Hello, it's very nice to be here. This is my first interview ever in Tel Aviv. I'm very excited.
Now, when you go on stage, I can imagine that you're not absolutely sure a couple of minutes before the show what exactly are you going to play on stage. A lot of it comes naturally or improvised or...
It depends on the kind of song. I think every style of music has different amounts of improvisation. If you play like a jazz or a blues song, usually there's a lot of improvisation. If you're playing like a classical song, sometimes there's none. It's all worked out in advance. And I think in my show now, what we're doing, I put more blues and jazz into it than I ever have before. So there's more improvisation because of that.
Why is that?
And
you just feel like being blues and jazzy right now?
Well, I mean, I'm almost scared to use the word blues and jazz because people have such a different idea of what those things are. To me, it has a lot to do with chords. As a rock player, you know, I learned the big, huge, simple, big, thick, mean-sounding chords. Yeah. But they're actually they're very simple chords. So there's not that much you can do harmonically. Where in jazz, you might, like one of the songs we end with, we go, then it goes. And those are some crazy chords.
Those last chords over there. You still have time, I know you go around the world, you still have time to sit at home and practice?
At home, I don't practice that much. I wish I could. But on the road, I practice a lot.
What, on the plane, on the bus, on the...
Just before the show.
Before the show?
It's very motivating because you know you're going to play in front of people, and I want to do well. And I'm also usually bored with what I played yesterday, so I want to play something new. So
what do you do when you practice?
Well, just yesterday, I was coming up with, what was it? I had this chord, like kind of a funk chord.
Funk, yeah.
And I wanted to come up with a new way of mixing up the notes over it. So I came up with this.
Playing after all these years, more than 20, 30 years, how long has it been?
Let's see, we have to do the math. I'm 46 now.
Yeah.
I started when I was 9. So it's 37 years,
almost
I think.
40 years playing guitar.
37 years of playing the guitar.
And you never get sick of it?
I did when I was in my 20s.
Really?
Basically because I was just playing the same kind of music over and over again, and I got tired of just hearing the same kind of thing. The thing that let me escape from that and become excited again was learning songs from different styles of music. I think in my late teens and early 20s, I was pretty much only listening to heavy metal. And then I started listening to some more complicated pop music, like that would have like... and more complicated chords in it. And I could crank those up and use them. In fact, I did. A lot of the metal stuff I wrote would have that kind of chord, but I would just make it loud.
Yeah.
And then got into songwriting. You know, a lot of the Mr. Big stuff that I wrote, like the. You know, that was much more of a. I mean, it's still interesting guitar things.
Absolutely.
But I actually wrote that based on a chord progression. It's much more of a songwriter way of thinking. When I was a teenager, I was mostly self-taught. I learned by being in a band, by hanging out with other musicians, and by listening to a lot of music and trying to figure it out. But when I was 17, I went to LA, and I went to a guitar school. And it was just a year, but I learned music theory, and I learned, chords and different styles of music, and it really educated me much more as a musician. And that was extremely valuable. That gave me a lifetime of things to work on. So I'll never run out of ideas now.
Really?
And I remember before that, I really would run out of ideas. I had a much more smaller vision. And after going to school, it just opened up my ears and my eyes to so many different sounds and ideas on the guitar.
So if you have an idea, let's say for a rock riff, what do? You just sit and you
Well, I'll
record
give you
it?
an example. It's the riff that is on the title song of the album. It's called Vibrato. And it goes like this. It's like 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah.
And I wrote that to challenge my students because that riff has everything that my students are bad at. It has stopping. Guitar players are notorious for being bad at stopping.
Yeah, they don't.
You know,
like
once a
they
guitar
don't
player
like the
starts,
pauses.
you can't get them to stop. They're just going forever. Like, get me out of this thing! No! No! So I wrote a riff that had stopping. The other thing I did was I used syncopations. And I always make my students hit their foot on the ground so they can feel the in-between notes. And this is full of syncopations.
Yeah.
And the last thing I did is, of course, the title of the album, Vibrato.
Vibrato, yeah.
And I hope it's not my fault, you know, but so many of the students that come to me, you know, because they want to play fast, they've completely forgotten about the most beautiful thing that an electric guitar can do, which is basically to imitate a voice, you know, to imitate that and get that sound. You know,
can sing with it.
You have to take advantage of that. It's not a piano.
Yeah.
You know, you can bend that string, and it just sounds so. It feels so good.
Well, what do we have to expect in the show?
I think one of my favorite things is when I see like a couple. You know, I'll see like the guy who's a rock fan in the front row and his girlfriend with him, and I love it when the girlfriend is actually enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because I've done shows before where I do like all instrumental guitar and no vocal songs, and then the girl's like, "Take me home," you know. And this set, you know, the guy's digging it, and the girl's kind of going, "Well, I didn't think I'd like this, but this is kind of cool." You know?
So you know you've done good when you see that.
Yeah. So I hope I think music should be for everybody, not just for a niche, you know, group of people.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Gilbert. It's been a pleasure, and
Excellent.
thank you for coming here and playing guitar. It is an honor for us. תודה רבה לכם שצפיתם. פול גילברט בהופעה וגם בכיתת אומן. תודה.